What happens when a Grammy-winning singer has a dream to create something incredible online, but she feels completely overwhelmed by the tech side of things? Today I'm taking you behind the scenes of one of my most comprehensive website projects to date, where we transformed years of an artist's vision into a multi-audience platform that serves not only the artist, but her private clients and her future online course students. From the moment she shared her dream with me to the final result that made her say, "I've entered a new realm of feeling accomplished," we're going to dive deep into the strategy, the design decisions, and the technical solutions that made this complex project actually work. And if you've ever wondered how to create a website that serves multiple audiences without confusing anyone, or if you're just curious about my full process from branding to website launch, this video is for you. First, if we haven't met, my name is Meg. I'm a Squarespace web designer and SEO specialist, and I'm the founder of Floating Lotus Design. My client for this wonderful project was Ilana Davidson. She is, as I mentioned, a Grammy-winning soprano singer. Ilana has had an incredibly successful career that continues to this day, performing on some of the most well-known stages across the world. But she's also a vocal coach, providing private lessons for her clients, and she's also dreamed for years about creating an online course for singers and other elite vocal professionals who are seeking a conservatory level of training combined with an in-depth physiological and holistic approach to vocal work. Now, Ilana had a website that she had created on her own in the past, but she knew she needed something more to be able to make this dream a reality, and she'd been doing a lot of research and had begun to get a little overwhelmed by everything that was out there. But fortunately, her research led her to Google, which led her to YouTube, which led her to me. And I was able to meet with her and let her know that her dream could indeed become a reality. So as we sat down and talked, we needed to figure out what the goals were going to be for her website. And there were three main goals, as you might have surmised at this point. Number one, she is still an active professional singer, so we needed to make sure that this site highlighted her professional career and her experience, and allow for people to be able to book her for professional performances and collaborations. Second, she has active private voice lessons that she has students for. She provides these both in person and online, so we needed a place for those clients to be able to engage with her and be able to learn more about her technique and her approach to providing vocal lessons and allow them to book those lessons with ease right from her website. And finally, the thing that she was looking most forward to adding is her Vocally Mindful program of courses. So she was looking for a course platform where she could provide all of these things with ease, both for her and for her future students. And that's how she found Squarespace and, as I mentioned, how she found me. We needed to make sure that her website was going to be able to offer all of the information needed for potential students to learn about her program and the courses that are involved in it, and then allow them to book and take the courses right from her website. But before we got down into all of the nitty-gritty of the functionality and building out these pages, we had to back up and start from the beginning. Because not only were we going to be building all this out, Ilana wanted to take a fresh approach to her branding. What she was looking for was a unique, yet modern, elegant, and timeless branding. So we needed to start from the beginning with branding. Ilana wanted to take a completely new approach and start fresh. But she was very clear on her vision, which is helpful. So between our conversations, as well as her responses to my branding questionnaire, we were really able to come up with the fact that what she was really looking for was to be unique and stand out from her peers. But she wanted to have branding that felt modern and elegant, yet timeless. And she wanted a website to be not only a showcase for her professional experiences and performances, but a place where her students could feel welcomed and inspired. So I got started with building her color palette. And from our conversations and her responses to my questionnaire, it was clear that she had a definite viewpoint of the types of colors that she liked. She definitely liked some pink, so we knew that some shade of pink had to be included in the branding. But to keep with that modern and elegant feel, we also liked some blues and also soft creams. We wanted to have some pop of color, but we also didn't want it to be too bold or loud or in your face. We also went back to her old website, and I had her walk me through all of the different colors she used there, which were varied, and asked her to give me some ideas about the colors that she liked the best and why and how they supported what she wanted to bring across in her vision, and the ones that didn't. And that was really helpful with narrowing down what I was going to start with. So with that information in hand, I jumped into one of my favorite tools, the Color Palette Pro from the Color Palette Studio. I'll link that in the description for you, to begin developing her color palette. And I won't go through that in detail here, but you can watch my video that I'll link above on exactly my whole process of using that tool to come up with a client's color palette. But I'll share the color palette that we came up with here, and it's called the Overture palette. What I love about the Color Palette Pro tool is that it allows you to apply themes to your color palette. So I wanted to build color palettes for Ilana that had the theme of music. So instead of just having plain colors and hex codes, they could have a musical component to it, which could help them resonate with her. So the Overture palette of the two palettes that I presented to her was the winner. And as you can see here, it does incorporate those tones that we talked about. There is a pink, but it's not an in-your-face pink. It's a nice salmon pink. So it's elegant, it's not trendy at all. And it's anchored on either side by a lovely cream and a very dark, dark blue. So it's not as harsh as going black. And in there we have a paler blue and then a teal, a greenish blue there as well. So there's a nice calming palette for you, but it's also very elegant and timeless, while also being a little bit of modern that she wants as well. Once we had the palette nailed down, I also then moved on to font pairings. Now this can be tricky when you're trying to combine pairings that you want to have evoke a certain, but you're also having to keep in mind that they need to be suitable for the website, and they need to be able to be well read from headings through body text. So I came up with a few different combinations, and I nailed it down to 2. And the pair that we decided on finally was, as you can see here, we used Poirot 1 for the headings and Josephine Sans for the body. Both of these are sans serif fonts. This was something that Ilana was clearly drawn to in our discussions, but also these help to evoke more of that modern quality, and they're easily readable. Interestingly, as we're talking about being modern, both of these fonts are vintage inspired. They bridge the Art Deco time period, but they have a real modern sensibility. Because of their clean lines and the refined proportions, they work very well for a modern design, while keeping that refined elegance that we were looking for. And because of their sans serif nature and clean lines, again, they make them quite readable and accessible on a website. Moving on from there, it was time to design Ilana's logo. And this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed designing logos like this, and this one I was really excited to do. So here's the logo that I came up with. And as you'll see here, I did use the Poirot 1 font for her logo. And I made her first name quite large and prominent. It really captures and focuses the eye, while the little musical note icon and her last name in all caps below it in a slightly thinner version of the font helps to visually balance the overall logo. So it's a very simple, but it's a unique design that will become a strong visual identifier for her brand for years to come. It's not trendy, it really will stand up to the test of time, and will not only work well on her website, but it also work for print media if she chooses to use it for that too. And finally, I was able to take that musical note icon and use that as her browser favicon in her website as well. So once we had the branding nailed down, we were ready to begin designing and building out the website. Why don't I pop over there and I'll give you a tour. Okay. So here we are on Ilana Davidson's brand new Squarespace website. You can see here we've taken the elegant, refined approach using fine lines, subtle colors from the color palette, and some unique elements to elevate it just a bit. As I give you a tour of the site, I'll point out some of the unique touches that we added in here and there to elevate her site and make it stand out. So beginning here on her hero section, we have this beautiful photo of her, and we just added some subtle lining detail around that to make that pop. And then we also used buttons and some hover effects here to make those stand out. Ilana really loves her pink, so I wanted to use it in subtle but yet really special ways to make things pop for her. And some of these features that I was able to create for her using the Square Kicker plugin. So I will link to them down in the description, but they are a wonderful plugin tool that allows you to do some really unique design in Squarespace without having to know a stitch of code. Now here in this next section, first half of this home page, we really wanted to elevate and showcase Ilana's professional experience so people could really see that she really has earned her credentials. So we're beginning here by doing some featured performances, and I've stuck two sections side by side. So in this next section here, we are highlighting her featured performances and the albums that she has performed on. So under her featured performances, we've embedded an audio player with a playlist that people can play directly from the website and actually hear Ilana perform. And then over here in this section, you'll notice some cool animation that we've gone here. And this is scrolling through all of the different albums that Ilana has performed on that she wanted to showcase. Now, in the previous versions of her website, these were just stacked one on top of another and scrolling through, which really isn't pleasing the eye, and there's just too much information and it wasn't anything anybody was going to stick around on. So what I did was I utilized a plugin from Will Myers, which I will provide a link to, that allowed me to build out a collection that has all of this information and images from these albums and then present it in this automated carousel that could automatically scroll through and highlight everything that anybody wants to see. And this is just a nice visual element. It's easy on the eye, it's intriguing, it gets people to stop and look, and it still maintains a nice, clean, modern effect. And we're moving down from here, again, using consistent use of these thin line elements to section off areas, but maintaining a nice modern minimalist approach. We moved into a bit of a welcome area here, a little bit of a get to know Ilana. This particular area is focusing more on her professional background. And then that will click on over to her more extensive professional biography page, which I'll show you in a bit. From here, we start the transition to show how she's going from stage to studio, so how her professional experience on the stage has led her to become a highly sought-after vocal coach. And unfortunately, we had great images to use on this site. Being a professional performer, she has a lot of images to share. This one in particular is lovely, of her performing with Keith Lockhart, and this allowed us to be able to showcase her professional career with beautiful imagery as well. So we begin strategically designing the images and the copy to show this transition of her performances and how that led her, along with her many years of experience, to develop her Vocally Mindful program, which is the online courses that she's providing. And it transitions here to share more about the structure and the history behind this program and why it's important for people. So we wanted to do that not just in a lot of copy, but bringing up some more interesting visual elements here so that we're keeping in with the overall design. So highlighting the three main things about her program, using some simple line-based icons here, and then transitioning into a section of who this program is for, because it was important for her to be able to show that this isn't just for singers. It can be for public speakers and anyone who uses their voice professionally. So we wanted to make sure that was front and center as well. Moving on, we introduced the three different courses that make up the Vocally Mindful program. And so these are just the highlights, just a quick intro, and allows you to then click over to the main page that goes into quite a bit of detail about the courses and allows you to sign up for them and purchase them. Finally, we wanted to close the loop in the last section of the homepage and remind people that you can work with her other ways beyond the Vocally Mindful program, so that she still offers private lessons, so you can book a private lesson. And she is also still available for professional performances and bookings and collaborations. So we have that here as well. And then finally we have the footer, which is anchored in that deep dark blue from her color palette and her bright pop of this pink here with her logo front and center here. So a nice, definitely modern, unique approach to the footer here. Very eye-catching. I also introduced this element of this arrow here so we can scroll all the way back up to the top automatically. And then we'll move on to the biography page. So here I use the pink because this is a color that really resonates with Ilana, really captures her essence. So I wanted to make sure that on her biography page that was the color front and center for her. So the main challenge that I had with creating Ilana's professional biography page is that it's really more than just a simple about page. Because of her extensive career and experience, she has a lot of things that we want to highlight, from her performances all the way through to her coaching. So just on paper, we had probably roughly 5 pages of written out text copy for her biography. So my first challenge was to take all of that and organize it, structure it in a way that made sense for the flow of a website page, and that made sense for people to be able to follow along the journey, but at the same time make it accessible to people who want to skim and maybe be looking for a certain piece of information or just want to skim and stop at the highlights. So we had to do first the organization of the copy and how the information was going to flow. And then how were we going to make this copy accessible from a visual standpoint, to break it up so that it wasn't just one long page of text, because we all know nobody's going to scroll through and just read all of that. People are skimming. So how did I accomplish this? So once I had that organized, I began mapping out offline first what different types of design elements I wanted to use to highlight. So the page begins pretty standard. We have a lovely long picture of Ilana at the piano. We introduce her, we give some career highlights and her Grammy recognition, and then we move down to this next section to highlight her international performance career. Now she's had a lot of amazing performances. You can see her here. So I wanted to use an accordion block to be able to highlight those so people can click on and see where she's done opera and theater companies she's performed at and all these other major venues and orchestras and things like that, without it being just a long piece of text. It's a little interactive, and it also helps minimize the amount of text we have to go through. And then combined with the image, again, it helps break things up. Moving on to the next area are her recent performance highlights. So if people are interested in what she's done lately, I've done the same thing here. Again, I've utilized an accordion block to be able to highlight those. So again, something interactive. It breaks it up visually for the eye, but it also makes it easy to read and digest this information. I've also used throughout the site some custom code to make these bullet points a customized check mark instead of just your same old boring dots. So another little bit, just a subtle change in visual interest. Moving on from there, I want to start calling out very specific things, visually highlight them, and in this way, this is all text, but we used a bold background for this piece of text with a bright font color so that this would pop and people could see what she was specialized and where her artistic focus is. So if anybody's just scrolling through and they go past things, boom, this still stops and catches the eye. Moving through that, we talk about her recital and chamber music career, which is something that's very important to her. And so we've highlighted that here, again, with some imagery and using bold fonts where we need to. And then seamlessly moving into her recordings and commercial work with this really lovely artistic black and white portrait of her and some of her featured works. And then moving down here, again, I've repeated this dark background and light text element again to make her awards and her recognition pop. Again, make the eye stop and take this information in. And then finally moving into her education and training, where we've repeated the element of accordion blocks to provide that information. And starting to wrap up the journey, moving into her leadership and her artistic direction. And again, then repeating this design element here to really highlight her teaching and vocal wellness innovation. This is something that's very important to her. Obviously, it's a very important part of this website because we're going to be promoting and facilitating this course. So we really want to make sure visually that this stood out. And finally, to bring to close, is another lovely portrait of her combined with some notes about her artistic philosophy and her approach to both performance and teaching. And then instead of a lot of buttons and things here, we just sent some simple links for people if they, after reading this, were interested in booking her professionally for performances, that they could go to her media page. If they want to explore private lessons with her, they can go there or learn more about her course. And again, it's another element where using this auto scroll up arrow is very handy when you have such long pages. Moving on from there, I wanted to create her teaching studio, and this is where we're going to have pages for her private lessons and the Vocally Mindful program. So for her private lessons page, we've transitioned into using that nice cream color from her palette as the background, combined with a dark font, and another lovely image of her. Some subtle shading to just make this pop, a little outline, subtle shading, give this a bit of a 3D element, matching her button elements. Again, very subtle, but a nice element to make it pop visually. So we move through to introducing her, explaining why she's a master of the craft, giving information, again, using color as a way to highlight the benefits of private lessons. And showing some more image of her. This really evokes her mindful and holistic approach to things and to her teaching. So we've highlighted that here in this section. Then we had a section again where we're repeating this color block element to set out these steps and what to expect during an online voice lesson. Another section to explain the technical aspects, what you need if you're not going to be taking a lesson in person. A place for her testimonials from her current students, and an FAQ. And then finally, wrapping it up with the ability to then click through here to book and pay for a lesson online. And then of course we want to wrap it up with a place where they can contact her and send her a message should they have any questions before they book their first lesson. So very simple, but again, use of color and just continuing repetitive elements with the way the images are treated, the lines, using the color blocks strategically, really helps make this a nice, simple journey for people and breaks up the content in a visually appealing way that also makes it easy for them to digest. And now for her Vocally Mindful program. So when we first started working, we weren't sure we had one course or more, and it turns out the Vocally Mindful is much more of a program that is made up of 3 different courses. So what I'll be showing you here is basically what's the landing page for the Vocally Mindful program, which gives all the information potential students may need and a place where they can actually sign up for one or all of the courses that make up the program. And behind the scenes, which I won't show you because you need to be in the course to take that, I built out on Squarespace's platform 3 individual courses from beginning to end where Ilana can easily manage and upload all of her course content for her students, along with all of the different pricing plans and paywalls that needed to be put in place to make this functioning. So we've started with this very bold introduction to this program, and it's elite technique meets mindful practice. So we have a combination of some of Ilana's professional photography along with some relevant stock photography that I developed. We did want to highlight again, we have some clergy, we have stage performers, things like that, that there's people of all different walks will be interested in this course. So another, just a nice visually stunning element and some movement to catch the eye. Moving on from there, we come into sections that introduce the why behind the course. Why is it different? What makes it unique and special? And moving into who it's for. Again, repeating these same types of design elements where I'm using blocks of color, some little images with the outline to make them stand out a bit more, but just also allowing the eye to move from left to right to not allow the visitor to get bored. And then moving again to come in what makes the Vocally Mindful different, And again, we highlight, as we did on the home page, these 3 main pillars of her program. Repeating who is it for, a little bit more detail here. And then another introduction to Ilana, and unlike the one that is on her homepage, this one is more geared towards Ilana, not the performer, but Ilana, the vocal instructor, the vocal coach, and allows them to get to know her and how she is as a coach here. And of course, we paired this with this really lovely photo that really evokes Ilana's personality as a bright and vibrant and very welcoming person. And now we move down to getting into the details about each course. And here's where I also used Square Carrier to help with some of the scrolling elements here to make this, again, visually appealing and also interesting, but also to facilitate the ease of getting through this information. So again, I'm using color blocking here with these sections, but the first course is introduced is her foundational course, the vocal behavior training, so it has all the information here. And this format will be consistent for each of the 3 courses. So as we scroll, then the next course is going to come up over here. This kind of card comes up here, and you get the information for that. And then up to the 3rd. So you can sign up for each of these individually through here and purchase a course. But then finally, we also have the ability to bundle the courses. So we have this banner here, and ability to sign up for each of these different bundles. And finally, if you wanted to buy all 3 courses. So it really helps facilitate that ability to go single and to buy bundles, but it's also got a nice kind of visual effect here that works well. Following that, we have testimonials from our students and more FAQs. Again, trying to use the color palette, evoking the color blocking to help, again, make it visually appealing and eye-catching. And then finally, we used a little bit of some imagery with an overlay, so if anybody still has questions, they can contact Ilana directly before they sign up for any of the courses. So there's a lot of information on this page, but the way we've broken it up using different colors and elements here with these scrolling elements really helps make it accessible and interesting to anyone who's visiting. And as opposed to some of the other pages where I'm very consistent with just having one background color and limiting the use of color in sections, this one has a little bit more of a bold use of color throughout the sections. And because I think that it breaks up the content a little bit, it really helps capture the eye, and it serves the purpose of the content that is here. And while you can't see the actual courses, a lot of these design elements are repeated in the courses as well. It is a very consistent design feel throughout the website, but also in the courses once you're in the course platform and navigating through the courses as well. Finally, we needed to have a media page. This page has a purpose. It's for people who are looking to be in contact with her management, who need to get in touch with her about her Serenata Chamber series. This is her contact and booking information. This is where it's basically her media and press kit. And we have a lot of press reviews from all over the world. So this is a place where people can read through and see all of these wonderful reviews that Ilana's gotten for her performances around the world. So we used just a nice testimonial slider here. And then again, another accordion block situation here to highlight a lot of her recent events. Again, she's, as you can tell, a very busy performer, has a lot of events that she's doing, but allows people to see that, yeah, she's still very current, doing a lot. This goes back several years, and people can see what she's performed. It's a short page, it's a single page, it serves its purpose. There's not a lot of fluff here, but the design elements are in keeping with the entire rest of the website. Finally, we have a contact page. So if anybody does need to contact her, we repeated this element here from the previous page where we had that section that allowed people if they still had questions. So we have this similar picture here, keeping with that color, and just a nice simple form that people can fill out, answer a couple of questions, and send her a message. Very simple, serves its purpose, and you're good to go. So finally, we can go back to the home page. And over here, we don't have a button, we have this login. So as people join her course, as some have already, they can go in and log into their account and access their courses through here. So everything is very streamlined, even though there's a great deal of content and information on this website. Everything is streamlined. It follows a consistent design theme, a consistent use of elements, so that anyone who's visiting here, regardless of what page they're on or journey they take through her website, it's going to be a consistent feel throughout the website. So I think we really achieved what Ilana was looking for in terms of something that was timeless yet modern and has that kind of elevated elegance that she was looking for while still being very approachable. All right, so that was the full tour of Ilana Davidson's new amazing website, and you're probably wondering, well, what does Ilana think of it? Well, I'm happy to say that after working collaboratively on this process, it was a wonderful experience for both of us, and she has actually described this as a life-changing experience for her. She said that for the first time, her dream was finally coming true, her dream of being able to provide this course, and that she was thrilled to be able to work with somebody that could be a supporter and a partner with her in this project, and that she now has a website that she feels incredible about and that makes her so proud of her course, and that she was just so happy to have her dream finally become a reality. And I, for one, am honored to have been a part of helping her to realize her dream. That is what I enjoy about working with my clients. When I work with a client, it's not just a transactional situation where, hey, you give me your requirements and your money and I'll build you a website. It really is a partnership. It's a collaboration. It's something that I really wanted to get to understand you and your business and what it is you want to achieve with your website and help you bring that vision to life in a way that is meaningful and really speaks to you and your ideal clients. So, if you stuck with me this long, thank you so much. I hope you found this helpful and interesting to go behind the scenes with me and my process and with how I work with clients to develop a site. I will link the full case study of this project in my description down below, so you can head over to my website and see all the pages, get a lot more detail and information about how we made this go from A to Z. And I will also include links to the tools that I had mentioned, both the plugins from Well Myers as well as SquareKicker and the Color Palette Studio's Color Palette Pro Tools. I highly recommend them. They are great to use and make the design process not only easier, but a lot of fun too. And while you're there, please be sure to sign up for my newsletter. That's where I will share news and updates on Squarespace and SEO and web design and have more behind the scenes info that I do just for you if you're on my newsletter. So I would love it if you would join me there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.